Now, you may have looked at the title of this video and came to the conclusion that this is very nerdy and kind of pointless, and with that I would say you are absolutely correct. In this video, I am attempting to find a connection between several classic Zelda species and find an evolutionary connection with them. Why am I doing this? I don't know, I'm bored, and I have nothing else to do with my life. So if you end up enjoying this, I would appreciate it a lot if you would leave a like and consider subscribing. Doing that would help my channel a lot. Also, leave a comment with your thoughts on this topic, because at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. Anyway, with that out the way, let's start this video. It's probably a well-known fact that evolution in the Zelda series plays out differently than what it's like in real life. For example, the Zora, who are literally fish people, evolve into the Rito, who are bird people. Birds in our world most likely evolved from dinosaurs and not fish, so there's clearly a large difference there. What I aim to do here is determine a link between certain species of Octorok, Zora and Rito, and place these under one evolutionary tree. So let's look at the start of the Zelda timeline and the first species found up there. Here, near the top of the tree, we find what I will call for this video the Earth Octorok. Now this is the first canonical appearance of the Octorok in the timeline, and they can be found burrowing in the ground. In this game, they also have their classic trait of shooting out large rocks at Link when he's far away. We also find the Parella, another octopus-like species that shares many characteristics with the water Octoroks found in Ocarina of Time, including the large circular mouth. Now what I believe is that before the events of Skyward Sword, some Octoroks adapted to live in the water, thus becoming water Octorok. Even though we don't see these water Octorok in Skyward Sword, they most likely still existed during this time. Perhaps they were higher up the waterfalls of Lake Floria. Eventually, a few of these new Octorok also split off and eventually became the Parella, that aided the goddess in her battle against Demise. However, we can go further. These Parella have been theorised to have evolved into the Zora we see in future games. Evidence supporting this is that they are both aquatic creatures that have the mental capacity to communicate, and the quote from Hyrule History stating, "We originally planned to have a race that closely resembled the Zora, but we were told to design a more primitive race, and the idea was rejected." This proves that the Zelda team themselves were even considering them being related. However, a common argument against them becoming the Zora is that the Parella live in the Faron region and are close to the dragon Faron, who itself is closely related to Hyrule, the golden goddess. The Zora appear to follow the golden goddess Nehru in their religion, as the Zora symbol is the same as the symbol of Nehru, which is found on a lot of Zora architecture. However, over time the Parella may have changed their beliefs and started worshipping another goddess. Only because hundreds of years before Ocarina they worshipped Hyrule doesn't mean their beliefs can't change. Look at the Gerudo for example. They are a race that split from humans who worshipped Hylia and began worshipping their own goddess, the goddess of sand. This is why I still believe the Zora came from the Parella. The Zora then went on to evolve into the aggressive River Zora from the Downfall timeline, and into the Rito in the Adult timeline, and in Breath of the Wild. Let's move back up the evolutionary tree, back to the Water Octorok, and let's look at the Ocarina of Time. In Ocarina of Time, the timeline splits into three branches: Downfall, Adult and Child. The Downfall and Adult timelines are the only timelines where we see changes to the Water Octoroks, so we'll be looking at these first. In the Downfall timeline, we only see two branches in the Water Octoroks, as they have appeared to become rare in this timeline. We see the Mai from A Link Between Worlds and the Octagon, the sixth boss in Oracle of Ages. Firstly, Octagon is self-explanatory. It's literally a Water Octorok from Ocarina of Time with a couple of design changes. However, the Mai may seem like a bizarre choice. For starters, they are not aggressive at all and are extremely passive. However, I truly believe that they are extremely closely related to the Water Octorok from Ocarina of Time. Firstly, they have the large circular mouths that are used to suck and shoot out items, just like an Octorok, and their young have a shell that is very similar in design to the Big Octo shell in Ocarina. With all this evidence, it is undeniable that the Mai are related to the Octoroks, and then even the Zora. Moving back up the tree yet again to the Water Octorok, we have the other timeline split that the Octoroks have evolved in, the Adult timeline. In the Adult timeline, there are many species of Octorok that all have similar characteristics, so they must all have an Ocean Octorok common ancestor. Anyway, let's get through these. Firstly, I believe that the Big Octo from Wind Waker and the Ocean Octorok from Phantom Hourglass are closely related and are most likely part of the same species. I also believe that Cyclops, although airborne, is also closely related to the Big Octo, as they all share similar characteristics. The Octave is another Octorok-like creature. However, I believe these are slightly more distantly related to the other Octoroks and split off from them further up the tree. Now we move far back up the tree to the Earth Octorok again. Now I believe at some point after Skyward Sword and before Minish Cap, the Earth Octorok had another split, this time leading to what I like to call the Land Octorok. This is the form of the Octorok we see the most in the Zelda games, including the Minish Cap and the first game. At some point, the Earth Octorok developed legs that it can use to traverse the land. This Octorok has minimal amounts of changes through the timeline, merely growing more limbs in the Downfall timeline, and surviving in its current state in the Adult timeline. It does technically appear in the Child timeline in the exact same form as in the Minish Cap, however I tend not to look at Four Swords Adventures as I find it very out of place in the Zelda timeline. Personally, I believe it should really be in the Downfall timeline, however that's merely my own opinion. However, another evolutionary split does seem to have occurred in the Adult timeline, as the Octomines can be seen in Phantom Hourglass. The Octomines are very similar in shape to the Land Octorok, which is why I decided that it evolved from the Land Octorok. However, the Land Octorok didn't die out and can still be found in Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Moving back up to the Earth Octorok in the evolutionary tree, we have another split, this time in the split into the Deku Scrubs. Personally, I believe the Deku Scrubs are closely related to the Octoroks, as they have many similarities to the Earth Octorok from Skyward Sword. They both have large circular mouths that shoot out large objects, and they both burrow in the ground when approached. The Deku Scrubs may have also had another split in their evolution, leading to the non-aggressive Scrubs we see in Majora's Mask, and the business Scrubs seen in many entries in the series. I strongly believe that the Deku Scrubs are related to the Octoroks. Moving back up to the Earth Octorok one last time, we have the final split in their evolution, the Airborne Octoroks. Firstly, we have the Sky Octorok from Skyward Sword. This Octorok flies using the leaves on its head, allowing it to become the master of the skies. These Octoroks most likely adapted to living in the skies when Hylia raised Skyloft into the air. I believe these Octoroks soon adapted balloon-like qualities and became the Octoballoons we see in the Downfall timeline. Finally, we have Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild features several species of Octorok, all very similar to the one found in Skyward Sword. However, two are vastly different, the Water Octorok and the Sky Octorok. Even though these share names with Octoroks of the past, we cannot immediately label them as the same species as the ones found before, as all the Octoroks found in this game look the same, and it should be impossible for different species of Octorok, after the course of tens of thousands of years, to all look the same again. Instead, we must find one branch of the Octorok that can link the Breath of the Wild Octoroks together, and I think I found my answer. In Breath of the Wild, upon defeating an Octorok, you are able to obtain the Octoballoon. Now, where have we heard that name before? Oh yes, the Octoballoon from A Link to the Past. Over time, the Octoballoon began adapting to different environments and took the roles of the other Octorok, which have appeared to have gone extinct by this time, replacing them entirely and becoming the new Octoroks. And here we have the final tree. I don't really know what you're going to do with this information, but it's right in front of you now, and this is how all of these Zelda species link together. Obviously this is my own opinion, and if you have enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. This video took me quite a while to make, so it would mean the world to me. Anyway, thanks for watching, goodbye.